Welcome back, everyone, to another video. Well, today we're going back to Sporkle. You guys seem to like when I play the quizzes there. It gives us something to talk about, some unique ways of looking at history. And I thought we might try to find some things that were a little more challenging today. And I'll be curious to see how you guys do against me, see how you do if you're able to get the answers before I'm able to, or if you're able to get the ones that I get wrong. We're going to try a variety of things today, so we'll see what happens. I do want to thank Cameron in Lexington, North Carolina. He recently signed up as one of our executive producer level patrons. I know that's a huge commitment, and it means the world to me, Cameron, that you are willing to do that. So thank you for that. If you want to find out more about how you can support the channel through Patreon, the link is in the description of every video, and it'll be on the screen in just a few seconds. Let's dive into this. All right, I was scrolling through the various history quizzes that are available, and this one looked really interesting to me. It's Letters Through History. So it says, given the recipient, can you name the person who wrote each of these historical letters? So I guess we're going to see who the letter's written to and the content of the letter, and then we have to figure out who it was written to. So I'm actually going to adjust my microphone here so I can get my keyboard a little closer to me so I can type. Let's go ahead and dive into this one. All right, play quiz. We get 12 minutes. There's 15 of them. Here we go. To J.D. Hooker, I was so struck with the distribution of the Galapagos organisms, etc., and with the character of the American fossil mammifers. I don't need to go any further on this one. This one's got to be Shrewsbury, England's own Charles Darwin. And if we're talking about the Galapagos, that's what it's got to be, right? To her husband, sweet elf, I was awakened this morning by my pretty babe and was dressed time enough to take my lesson from Mr. West. And thank God, finished that tedious, ugly picture I've been so long about. I've also finished the 4th chapter of Frankenstein. Oh, this is Mary Shelley. There we go. I forgot that it's E.Y. Okay, my dear Kepler, I wish that we might laugh at the stupidity of the human herd. Me too, man, me too. What do you have to say about the principal philosophers of this academy who are filled with the stubbornness of an asp and who do not want to either look at the planets, the moon, or the telescope? So it's to Johannes Kepler. I mean, this has got to be Galileo, right? I mean, I don't know my scientists that well. If my son Eli were here, he'd know it. I don't even know how to spell his name. I guess that's not it. How do we spell Galileo? It's all just one L for each. Okay, Galileo. Oh, it was. Okay, at least I got that right. I just didn't know how to spell his name. Oh, this one should be easy. It's to John Adams. I have given up newspapers in exchange for Tacitus and Thucydides. This is Thomas Jefferson. They were famous for their letters that they wrote to each other, and my all-time favorite of those letters. He says, of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, I see now living not more than half a dozen on your side of the Potomac, and on this side, myself alone. That's clearly Jefferson. His letter to John Adams after Abigail died is one of the most beautiful letters I've ever read in my life. And I'm not a fan of Thomas Jefferson, but it was a phenomenal letter. Okay, to King Leopold I, I already know who this is going to be, but I'll read some of the letter just because of that. My dear uncle, I have to thank you for a kind short note on the 27th, which I received on Sunday. I gave your kind message to the King of Prussia, who was very much touché by it. He is a most amiable man, so kind and well-meaning, and seems so much beloved. So I think the King of Belgium, this would have to be Queen Victoria? Yeah. She married her first cousin, who I think also would have been a nephew of the King of Belgium. To Ulysses S. Grant, I do not remember that you and I ever met personally. I write this now as a grateful acknowledgement for the most inestimable service you have done the country. I wish to say a word further. When you first reached the vicinity of Vicksburg, I thought you should do what you finally... Oh, this is from Abraham Lincoln. So Abraham Lincoln wrote a letter to Ulysses S. Grant. They had not yet met at that point, and basically said, I thought your plan for Vicksburg was completely wrong. And he goes on in this letter to say, I want to tell you now that I was wrong and you were right. And it was a very magnanimous letter from Lincoln. Listen, Sherman was also greatly opposed to Grant's plan, but told him, even though I'm opposed to it and I think it'll fail, I will support it as if it were my own. And that's all you can ask for in a general, right? So this is definitely Lincoln. I'm actually surprised I'm doing as well as I am on these. I'm sure there's going to be one I mess up. To Emperor Meiji of Japan, which I believe would be not Yamamoto. What am I thinking? Emperor Hirohito. When they die, Japanese emperors get a new name, and I think Meiji is his name. It is expected that the government of your Imperial Majesty will render such return unnecessary by acceding at once to the very reasonable and pacific overtures contained in the President's letter, and which will further be explained by the undersigned at the first fitting occasion. So is this going to be MacArthur? No, you know what? This actually might be... I might be thinking of the wrong emperor. Is this maybe like Commodore Perry? Yeah, it was Commodore Perry. Okay, so this is when Japan was kind of forced to open up to the world. To Pope Leo X. Oh, I know who this one is. I'll read a little of the letter, though. You see, however, which is called your see, however, which is called the Court of Rome, in which neither you or any man can deny to be more corrupt than any Babylon or Sodom, and quite as I believe of a lost, desperate, and hopeless piety. This I have verily abominated. I don't need to read any more than this. This is definitely Martin Luther writing to Pope Leo X. Martin Luther, and actually, if you want to see some really hardcore letters, read Martin Luther and Thomas More writing to each other. It was brutal. This one I might not get. To Lorenzo Pietro Francesco de' Medici. In past days I wrote very fully to you of my return from the new countries, which have been found and explored with the ships, at the cost and by the command of this most serene King of Portugal, and it is lawful to call it a new world, because none of these countries were known by our ancestors. Is this Columbus? No. Is it Ferdinand of Spain? No. All right. I don't think I know this one. To Lorenzo de' Medici. Wow. All right. I'm gonna have to skip that one. I don't know that one. I still believe that Gauguin and I will one day work together. I know that Gauguin is capable of greater things than he has given us already. Have you seen the portrait he painted of me while I was painting some sunflowers? To his brother Theo. I got no idea on this one. Are we going to say, like, I don't even know what time period we're dealing with here. This isn't like Van Gogh. Oh, it was! What a guess! That was an absolute guess. To his niece Laura, goodbye. If you hear of my being stood up against a Mexican stone wall and shot to rags, please know that I think that a pretty good way to depart this life. It beats old age, disease, or falling down the cellar stairs. To be a gringo in Mexico, that is euthanasia. I mean, this isn't like Davy Crockett, is it? Jim Bowie? No. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong time period. This isn't Maximilian? No. Sam Houston? Stephen F. Austin? No, I got nothing. I'm lost on that one too. Okay, it's because I bragged about doing so well. To Napoleon Bonaparte. I just finished a book on Napoleon, so this should be interesting. My dear, I am pained by all that you tell me, but the season being cold, the roads being very bad, and not at all safe, I cannot consent to expose you to so many fatigues and dangers. Return to Paris in order to spend the winter there. Go to the Tuileries, receive and lead the same life as you are accustomed to do when I am there. That is my wish. This has got to be Josephine. Yeah. His first wife. To Marcus Junius Brutus, after the death of Caesar and your ever memorable Ides of March, Brutus, you have not forgotten what I said had been omitted by you and your colleagues, and what heavy cloud I declared to be hanging over the Republic. I was about to say it's Mark Antony, but he says, but an engine for exercising kingly power had been put into the hands of Lepidus and Antony, of whom the former was more fickle of the two and the latter more corrupt, but both of whom dreaded peace and were enemies to quiet. Is this Cicero? Yeah, it was Cicero. He was pretty hardcore. To Harriet Tubman. The difference between us is very marked. Most that I have done and suffered in the service of our cause has been in public, and I have received much encouragement at every step of the way. You, on the other hand, have labored in a private way. And she's awesome, and I think she needs to be on the $20 bill. This has got to be Frederick Douglass. Yep. To Leo Tolstoy. Okay. I and some of my friends were and still are firm believers in the doctrine of non-resistance to evil. I had the privilege of studying your writings also, which left a deep impression on my mind. British Indians, before whom the position was fully explained, accepted the advice that we should not submit to the legislation. Gandhi? Yep, it was Gandhi. We've got, what, 3 left? 2 left? Again, to de Medici. These are the ones that I didn't know already. I still don't know this one. To his niece Laura. Those are the only 2 I've got left. I've got no idea on those 2. Oh, Amerigo Vespucci is the one to de Medici. And who was the other one? To his niece Laura. It was Ambrose Bierce. I don't even really know who that guy is. All right, so I got 13 out of 15. Not too bad, I suppose. 87%, where the average score was 56%. Okay, this one sounds interesting. Guess the decade by 3 events in European history. So, can you pick the correct decade of each group of 3 events in European history took place? Okay. How big of an area are we covering here? Are we going to be going back hundreds of years, or is this all going to be in one century, or what? Okay, so it goes 1900s to the 2010s. Young Turks Revolt, First Russian Revolution, Queen Victoria died. So that's the 1900s. That's 1901, I think. Irish Free State formed. Vatican City became a country. All women over 21 gained suffrage rights in the UK. The Irish Free State was formed in the 1920s, I think. Yeah. Prague Spring Reformation put down. Malta gained independence. I didn't know those first 2, but the Berlin Wall is going to bail me out on this one because that's the 1960s. The other 2, I would have had no idea. Nuremberg trials, Marshall Plan, Federal Republic of Germany, that's the 1940s. Dachau established. Dachau, I just was in Dachau. That was just a few months after the National Socialists took power in Germany, so that's the 1930s. London subway bombings. Euro coins and banknotes introduced. France and Netherlands vote against EU constitution. This is either the 2000s or the 2010s. I think it's the 2000s, but I might be wrong. Oh, it was. Okay, I was a little unsure about that one. Northern Ireland Peace Agreement. Civil War, this has got to be the 90s. Maastricht Treaty. I didn't know that the European Union was created by a treaty in Maastricht. I stayed in Maastricht my first time in the Netherlands. Love that town. Okay. So that's got to be the 90s. Nicolae Ceausescu deposed in Romania. I remember that. Solidarity wins election in Poland. Chernobyl, that's the 1980s. Charlie Hebdo attack. That's the one in France, the newspaper, right? Or the tabloid magazine. UK votes for Brexit. That's 2010s. Bolshevik Revolution, Versailles Peace Conference. Raoul Emerson beat Robert Scott to the South Pole. 1910s. Francisco Franco died. I think that's the 7. Yeah, Munich Olympic Massacre was 1972. Direct rule imposed in Northern Ireland. It's the 70s. Sputnik, yeah, Queen Elizabeth coronation, 1952. All right, hey, pretty good. Average score 78. We got 100%. So that one was a little easier. Let's find something really challenging. Okay, here we go. European countries by history. Can you name the European countries that match the following historical blurbs? There's 24 of them. We have 6 minutes. Okay, here we go. This country sponsored Columbus's voyage to the Americas. That was Spain. March 11th, 1990. This country was first to declare independence. It's got to be one of the Baltic states. Is it Latvia? Lithuania? Yep. This country is the only surviving sovereign Grand Duchy. Dates back to 1815. Is that Luxembourg? Yep. July 1st, 2013, this country became the 28th member of the European Union. Ugh. I'm just going to skip that for now. I have no idea. The expansion of this country's borders throughout much of the 18th century led to a communist revolution in 1917. Russia. Joint position of head of state of this country is shared between the president of France and the Bishop of Urgell. It's not Monaco. What's the little tiny... Oh, gosh, I'll come back to that. This country, along with Estonia, made up Livonia. Is this Latvia? Yeah. The Atheling is this country's... Or Althing is the country's national parliament and the world's oldest extant parliament. Got no idea. The referendum staged in 2006, 55.5% of the voters in this country voted in favor of independence from Serbia. Montenegro. Though they founded many of its major cities, the Battle of Clontarf in 1014 marked a decline in the influence of the Vikings in this country. France? No. Italy? Wow. Ireland? Yeah, okay. At the height of its power, this country is credited as having controlled the largest empire in history. I mean, are we talking about China? I mean, England? Britain, are we going to say? Great Britain? I mean, are we talking the United Kingdom? How are we saying this? Yeah, okay. The country is widely recognized as the oldest surviving sovereign state. Wow. I don't think it's Egypt. Is it France? Wow, I got no idea. Ooh, this is tough, and it's fast. Amundsen, he was from Norway. Cold War, Czechoslovakia banned entry to citizens of this country. Is it Poland? No, it's got to be. It's got to be one of the free countries. So, oh, was it United States? No, that's not in Europe. All right, I got nothing on that one either. This country is a constitutional monarchy, and its current king is a member of the House of Bernadotte. That's Sweden. He was a marshal of Napoleon. Country is a former kingdom until 1918. It was part of a dual monarchy with Austria. That's Hungary. Historic regions of Bohemia and Moravia make up Czechia. Empire centered in this country controlled much of the Balkans until it was conquered by the Ottoman Empire in the 14th and 15th century. This might be... Is it Romania? No, Bulgaria. Yep. 2004, this country became the first former Yugoslav country in the European Union. That might be Serbia. Croatia? Slovenia. Yep. The Democratic Republic of Congo was a colony of this country until 1960. That's Belgium. Modern-day country was divided between the Russian Empire and the Kingdom of Romania for much of the... Is it Moldova? Yep. This country was ruled by Enver Hoxha from the end of World War II until his death in 1985. I have no idea. I've never heard of that guy in my life. How have I not heard of him? This country has been partitioned into North and South since a Turkish invasion in 1974. Macedonia? No, North and South. Montenegro? No. Oh, gosh, I got no idea. Eastern and western part of this country were reunified in 1990. Germany. And now we're on ones I have no clue about. Wow. No idea. You know what? I'm going to give up. Let's just get the answers. Oh, so this was Croatia. Andorra is the one that the president of France is the head of state. The Althing is this country's national parliament, and the world's oldest extant parliament is Iceland. San Marino is the oldest surviving sovereign state. Liechtenstein had its citizens banned. Albania was ruled by Enver Hoxha. I'm probably not even pronouncing that right. And this country has been partitioned into North and South. Cyprus. Oh, I forgot about that. Okay, dang, that was tough. That was real tough. Okay, last one. We're going to do a little presidential history here. Can you name the middle names of these United States presidents? I wanted to go with something that I thought would be pretty easy for me to do. We've got 6 minutes to do 28 of these. Here we go. So John Adams, well, we have John Quincy Adams, William Henry Harrison, James Knox Polk, Ulysses. Actually, I mean, he kind of went, yeah, S was just Harry Truman, was just S. Grant's is complicated, but we'll say Simpson. It was actually Hiram Ulysses Grant was his birth name. Rutherford Burchard Hayes. James Abram Garfield. Chester Allen Arthur. Is actually Stephen Grover Cleveland. Grover Cleveland's middle name was Grover. Yeah. William Howard Taft. Thomas Woodrow Wilson. So I guess we'll just say Woodrow here. Warren Gamaliel Harding. John Calvin Coolidge. So his is Calvin. Herbert Clark Hoover. Yep. Franklin Delano Roosevelt is a pretty common thing for people to have their mother's maiden name as a middle name back then. Dwight David Eisenhower. He was actually born David Dwight Eisenhower, and then they switched it. John Fitzgerald Kennedy. That's another one from his mother's maiden name. Rose Fitzgerald. Lyndon Baines Johnson. Richard Milhouse Nixon. Another mother's maiden name. Gerald Ford's name was actually Leslie Lynch King when he was born. But I think it's Gerald Rudolph Ford. Jimmy, it's James Earl Carter. Ronald Wilson Reagan. George Walker Bush. Again, a mother's... Oh, no, that's George W. Bush. George Bush is George Herbert Walker Bush. William Jefferson Blythe III. But I think he went William Jefferson Clinton after that. Barack Hussein Obama. Donald John Trump. And Joseph, I think it's Robinette Biden. Yeah, hey, cool. All right. I feel good about my presidential abilities there. But we're going to wrap it up right there with that one. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know how you did. I know some of you did better than me, especially on a couple of those that I didn't do so well on. So this is your chance to brag and tell me how much smarter you were than me on those quizzes. If there's a particular quiz you think I should check out on Sporkle, let me know and we'll try to do that. Thanks for watching.